What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And it's time for our end of week wrap up. Again, a boring week. I had expectations that we were going to see something good come out of crypto. Not terrible, but definitely not anything fantastic. So I started looking around at a lot of different data. I've been speaking with different people to try to say, hey, can we find any other data kind of agreeing with the fact that we've seen full-on capitulation and that this thing is over and we're ready to start moving to the upside. I've been watching lots of interviews, lots of other, highly respected opinions to try to get an idea of what do other people see that really take a look at data. And over again, I keep seeing the same things that I believe to be true, and that we had capitulation of Bitcoin happen right back in there. In other words, the big shakeout, the big scary event that typically marks bottoms has already come in. And right now, we're just kind of in that licking our wounds, trying to recover from the damage and healing from that moment that occurred. But a lot of the new investors, all the people with the laser eyes and the diamond hands, all the people who thought they knew what they were doing by buying the top, they've all been shaken out. And that the people that do know what they're doing, that have been in this market for a long time and understand it, have a bigger time preference, are successfully executing this market. Last night, I retweeted this tweet from TXMC at TXMC Trades. He had posted that volume on Bitcoin and exchange wallets finally flipped today after weeks of being in bearish territory. And essentially what this is saying is during this time period, this is Bitcoin moving on to exchanges, and this is now Bitcoin moving off of exchanges. So we saw a lot of Bitcoin moving off exchanges during the grind up, but then as the sell-off happened, we started seeing a lot of the Bitcoin come onto the exchanges for people to panic sell it. But there was a ton of interesting data that I noticed from this that I want to actually discuss, and how this kind of gave us a little bit of a lead. And I'm going to start paying more attention to this Glassnode data, this on-chain metric stuff, because it really showed something that happened here in Bitcoin prior to everything kind of falling apart. And it was really that, as we did have many waves up and up and up, it wasn't until this one right in here that there was suddenly a change that happened in which a lot of Bitcoin started making its way onto the exchanges during this time period here at the end of April to the first half of May, before the big fall apart really happened, right? Before the whole Elon Musk tweets, right? Before all that craziness happened, there was actually evidence of people moving their Bitcoin from cold storage, long-term holders, moving it onto exchanges, whether or not they were long-term holders or not, whatever, getting it over here onto the exchanges prior to that sell-off actually occurring, in which we had not seen happen all year long. And as we discussed with ABC corrections, it was right in here, finally coming into the retracement up in here to get up to the 702 retracement before the C leg came in, that the professionals knew, get the Bitcoin onto the exchanges before that happened and before Elon Musk started doing all of his tweeting. Yet in none of the prior moves prior to that was there such a big move of Bitcoin onto the exchanges. So what's the data showing right now? We're seeing finally that these Bitcoins are finally starting to come off of exchanges. And we could see, of course, capitulation, all the new people, they brought their Bitcoin in to sell it at the bottoms. But I thought this data was really interesting because there was clearly a different deviation in what was happening with on-chain metrics in regards to what people were doing with their Bitcoin at that time leading into that C leg of that fall. The Bitcoin was moving onto exchanges before the Elon Musk tweets. But now we're starting to see a net of Bitcoin moving off of exchanges again. So holders, long-term accumulators are picking the Bitcoin back up again, as represented by here. Of course, we have seen moments in time where we just have little pops above there, and then it goes right back, right? So no guarantee over here, but that's the first time we've now seen net pull off of exchanges rather than putting it onto the exchanges since late April. But I found this so interesting to see that there was money moving onto the exchanges before the Elon Musk tweets ever happened in massive amounts, which did not occur in any of these dips prior. Now, I had tweeted this last night, or retweeted TXMC Trades on Twitter. I retweeted this last night. And then, well, hey, what do you know? Anthony Pompliano decided, hey, it's time to start tweeting some stuff on here. Of course, Anthony Pompliano follows me and considers me the... I'm just kidding. I don't even think Pomp knows who I am. But hey, he's starting to show some of the on-chain metrics as well, trying to present the bullish argument that, hey, long-term accumulators are picking up Bitcoin right now. And I'll agree. I think we are seeing evidence of that occurring in the on-chain metrics. in which he goes through this and goes through all this data that was presented by somebody else who shows all of these different things in here. And we could go through all of them together and we could say, yeah, it does show it. And I'm not going to go through each and every one of them today, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing my own deep diving into this on-chain metric stuff, because I haven't really done a whole lot of that. I am going to start doing that. But there's one big problem for Pompliano, for all the narrative builders in here, by presenting this data and trying to present this bullish argument that they're trying to present with all of this. I think it's pretty damaging, right? If you're going to actually come out and you're going to use this data now to build this case, because we have to go back in history and what has happened and what has occurred in this market in the last 6 months. And well, if you're going to point to this and say, hey, look, long-term holders are adding to their positions right in here, then we can't ignore what happened in the last 6 to 8 months. And what is very clearly obvious is that while Diamond Hands, Laser Eyes, the whole marketing campaign, CNBC coming on board, all of that stuff happening, what was really occurring at that time? Long-term holders were dumping on retail investors. They were. The data shows it. I knew to sell my Bitcoin there between $45,000 and $58,000. And long-term holders knew to do the same thing. And that while retail investors were getting told that this is the greatest opportunity in the world and Laser Eyes and Diamond Hands, they were getting massively dumped on during that time. So if we're going to go ahead and point to this data being bullish right here, then we've got to address what was happening 6 months ago, 4 months ago. Why was this not pointed to? Hey guys, I know that we have these Laser Eyes and this Diamond Hands and all this kind of stuff, but just so you know, I want you to know the long-term holders are all dumping on us right now. Nope. Instead, that was ignored. And right now, because it presents a bullish argument, they're going to point to the fact that long-term holders are accumulating right now. So this data is really interesting. It also does validate a lot of the beliefs that I've had of when I wanted to sell. And it's interesting to see that, the people who have been around for a very long time in cryptocurrency, the bigger pockets, the ones that were holding on to it for a long time, all had the same idea that that was the time to be letting go of Bitcoin, while marketing messaging, Laser Eyes, Diamond Hands movements were persuading retail investors to buy. But I had to see that. I thought it was very interesting to see that Pompliano is now pointing to this data and showing that the on-chain metrics don't lie. Yeah, they don't lie that they're accumulating right now, but they sure didn't lie either that they were dumping on Laser Eyes and dumping on Diamond Hands during this whole time period up in here. And that was never pointed to. But even my technical analysis had showed me at that time that it was time to let go of Bitcoin without even looking at the on-chain data. So I will be spending the weekend looking more at that data. But some of the information we can draw from what we do see on here in regards to volume of Bitcoin moving to and from exchanges is that a lot of Bitcoin did move onto exchanges before the Elon Musk tweets ever happened. And now currently Bitcoin is moving off of exchanges. So it's being put into cold storage wallets at this point. And that long-term holders were dumping all the way up in here, but now they are heavily adding back to their positions. And so as we head into the weekend, the charts, the on-chain data, it all just shows we're going through reaccumulation phases. And I think we're getting ourselves ready for that really big final grand finale that's going to come in this market. But we have even more evidence to kind of show that something is really up with this whole Elon Musk thing, in my opinion. It is very odd that you would add $1.5 billion to your company's balance sheet in Bitcoin as the total market cap reaches out and hits the 4.236 fib extension based on the rally prior to capitulation, as the on-chain data shows that a lot of Bitcoin was brought onto the exchanges at that exact same time, and then boom, change the whole narrative. You know what I don't think you would do? I don't think you would change the narrative to super negative and allow yourself to just be stuck with $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin and have to ride into a depths of despair bear market. You know why? Because that's not what happened in the last bull run, right? What happens is optimism remains everywhere. Retail investors have learned their lessons. They know to buy the dips no matter how scary they are, and that we will return to normal. That's what happens when bubbles pop. Retail investors know to buy the dip. Things will return to normal. Right now, all the new people in the market don't know that yet. Right now, they're all very scared. They don't know buying dips is a good thing. But we get one more giant push to the upside. Things get super euphoric and super exciting. Again, we get another big crash. They've all learned their lesson. They say, buy the dip. Things are going to return back to normal. We're going to keep going up higher. But in that case, it won't anymore. I just find it very odd to buy $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, start a negative campaign, and the on chain data and analytics all show it that, you know what, that fall was predicted to come. This chart shows it. The on-chain data of Bitcoin moving onto the exchanges shows it before those tweets were ever made. Something very sinister is at play. And whether or not it's sinister, it's not honest. There's something dishonest going on with all of it. But either way, for me, my expectations are that we're going to recover from right here. And it's optimistic to see that on chain data is showing long term holders accumulating and that Bitcoin is being pulled off of the exchanges. So as the accumulation is happening, the Bitcoin's being taken off of the exchanges without the intention of selling it right away. And for that, I'm happy to see that once again, I'm on the same side as the long-term holders. That's the side I always want to be on. I never want to be on the side of what the short-term holders are doing because the short-term holders are always, every single time, wrong. But the long-term holders are the ones that dictate what happens in this market. And it shows the long-term holders were letting go of Bitcoin there between $40,000 and $60,000, and now they're accumulating and holding on to it and not selling it. So patience is the key at this point, but it's nice to see that I'm on the same side as what the long-term holder mindset is as well. But all right, guys, I'll wrap this thing up. I mentioned yesterday that Unstoppable Domains was running that promo. For every dollar you spend, you get $3 in promo credits. If you've ever bought a domain at Unstoppable Domains before, go check your account because I checked mine. I have promo credits in there from stuff I bought like a year ago. I had 3 times the promo credit. So you may have promo credits in there and you can go get something for free by using those promo credits. In addition, they extended this thing. It was supposed to end yesterday morning. They've now extended this until June 22nd, that for every dollar you spend, you get 3 times the amount of promo credits whenever they distribute them, which I think is going to be after June 22nd. So it's just like, a couple of days away, 4 days away. But for example, if you buy a domain for $40, you'll get $120 in promo credits to get more domains. So go check your account if you've ever bought anything. See if you have the promo credits, and you can get stuff for free today if you want. And for those who want to take part in a pretty sweet deal, I haven't seen them do a deal like this before ever. For every dollar you spend, you get $3 in promo credits. It's pretty nuts. I do have an affiliate link to Unstoppable Domains in the description of this video. And otherwise, I'll wrap this thing up. Of course, you guys can check out my website, bcbacker.com. This is my course if you're looking for something to do over the weekend. This is where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs and the different altcoin market cycles, tying them all together to show how those alt seasons have taken part, when they took part in Bitcoin's market cycles. Talk about setting up your own charts and your own indicators, kind of walking you through TradingView and CoinTrader Pro and the different indicators in there and how to put those onto your own charts. Talk about my personal exit plans, mathematics, percentages, all kinds of educational content in here. You can check this out over there on bcbacker.com. You could follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. I will be available on Twitter throughout the weekend. However, there's no chance I will be making any type of video tomorrow. So no matter what happens, if the prices start skyrocketing up 30 or 40% tomorrow, I won't be able to make a video. I'm just not available tomorrow morning. I won't even have cell phone access throughout the entire morning tomorrow. But when I get my cell phone back mid-afternoon, I will at least have access to Twitter. I'm going to go do some country stuff with my fishing pole. So I won't be available tomorrow, but at least I'll be available over here on Twitter, and you can follow me at bcbacker. And well, I want to thank you guys so much for watching a pretty tame week, kind of just up a few percentage points, down a few percentage points every single day, waiting for something bigger to happen. maybe next week we'll get what we're all looking for. But all right, that's it. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and have a good one.